Picture this. You've built a thriving cleaning business and your clients love you and the service you provide. But then an accident happens. Someone slips on a wet floor, or a high-end surface gets damaged, or even worse, something catastrophic happens, like a fire. Without insurance, any one of these scenarios could ruin not just your business, but your personal financial life as well. So in this video, we're talking all about cleaning business insurance and bonding. And stick around, and I'll give you my current recommendation for who you should consider insuring your business with. And much of what I'll share in this video applies to most service-based businesses, so be sure to share it with someone you think needs to see it. Before we dive in, a quick disclaimer. I am not a licensed insurance agent, and since insurance laws and requirements vary greatly by country, state, and province, you should always consult the pros before making final insurance decisions for your business. So first, I'll tell you why you need it, and then I will teach you about the different types you should consider for your cleaning business. So reason number one, you need insurance. Financial protection. Accidents can happen, and they come with huge costs. So insurance is a safety net for you and your business, protecting you from unexpected expenses and potential legal action, allowing you to focus on what you do best. Number two, it's vital for your reputation. It shows you're professional and proves that you take your business seriously. And it's just one thing that will help you attract higher paying clients, which I am all about. And number three, in many places it's actually required, so having it keeps you compliant and legal. And since many will ask this question, no, I have personally never had to file a claim against my business insurance policies, and I've owned my own cleaning business for over 20 years. But there is no way I would operate my business without it. Next, let's dive into each type of insurance you might need. And we're going to start with general liability. General liability is the one insurance policy all cleaning businesses should have, and it's the foundation of any business's protection. This insurance protects you from third parties, usually your clients, when they claim your business is responsible for property damage or personal injury. Like the examples earlier of a client slipping on a wet floor or you damaging a high-end surface. Now, an important note here, just because you have general liability doesn't mean that you have to use it when an incident occurs. Say you damage a floor and the cost to restore it is $500. You may choose to just pay out of pocket for that. Why? Because it could just be easier than filing a claim, both for you and your client. And since your insurance rates typically go up when you file a claim, it might make sense in those cases to just pay out of pocket. But your policy is still there for those claims if and when you choose to use it. And this is the only type of insurance I had for many years as a solo house cleaner. And if you're just starting out, it's all you likely need as well. How much coverage you need varies on your business size and location, but as of the time of making this video, most cleaning business owners should get at least a $1 million policy. You may see it like this: $1 million aggregate and something like $500,000 per occurrence, meaning they will cover up to $1 million during the term of the policy as a whole, but only $500,000 for each occurrence or claim. The cost of this insurance type varies, but expect to pay somewhere between $30 and $100 a month at the time of me filming this video. But it's super easy to shop rates for the best deal, and insurance companies expect this. So even if you already have a policy, shop other companies every so often to make sure you're getting the best deal. And below this video, I have a link to my current recommendation. So get your free quote after watching this video. It only takes a few minutes. A couple other quick tips before we move on. Number one, some clients will ask you for a certificate of insurance. This is especially true with commercial cleaning clients. And it's simply a document that proves you are insured. They may also ask to be named on that certificate as an additional insured, which is very common. Most insurance companies even let you add your client's name as an additional insured right on their website, and then produce the certificate instantly. And this gives your clients peace of mind. And tip number two, understand that your policy will likely only cover you and your legal employees, but not your subcontractors, should you choose to hire these. That's really a whole video in itself, but in short, a subcontractor is really their own business owner and therefore should have their own insurance policies. And if you use subs, you should always be confirming that they have these policies up to date and that they have adequate coverage for your clients. Before we move on, if you're finding value in this video, please hit that like button. It really does help me out. Next up is bonding. A lot of cleaning business owners want to say that they are bonded and insured. So what's the difference? Where general liability covers third parties against injury and property damage, bonds mostly cover third parties against two other things: theft and fraud. Or in other words, you stealing from or defrauding your clients. But you wouldn't do that, right? So here's the thing about these policies. They aren't usually that expensive, so if you want it, go ahead and get it. But unless a certain client type is requiring it, I wouldn't recommend buying it. Even if a client did ask me, I would just explain why I'm not bonded and then show them proof of my general liability. But in over 20 years, no one ever has. Your business's reputation of being fair and honest is all you should ever need. And if you're thinking you need it in case one of your employees steals something, the same thing I explained earlier is true here. If you're hiring subs, your policy doesn't necessarily cover them stealing anyways. So do background checks, ask for references, and just don't hire any unsavory characters. If a sub does steal something, you're probably going to have to pay your client back out of pocket anyways, assuming they can prove your company was responsible. Next is workers' compensation. Where general liability is more about covering your client's medical claims, workers' comp is about covering your employee's medical claims. If an employee is hurt on the job, it can cover their medical expenses and their lost wages. It also protects you against potential lawsuits from injured workers. But again, this usually only applies to legal employees, not subs, depending on the policy and your location. The biggest downside to workers' comp, if and when you do need a policy, is it's usually very expensive. But if you want to grow a huge cleaning business and hire employees versus subs, then it's something you will likely need. Some of my larger commercial clients also require that I carry it, while others allow me to sign a waiver. But when required for a contract, just be sure to factor in the costs to make sure that you are bidding the job correctly. The last two insurance types we're going to talk about are less common, so I'm going to group them together. And they are commercial property insurance and commercial auto insurance. Commercial property insurance is a good idea if you have valuable equipment, but in regular cleaning and janitorial work, it isn't usually needed. For example, if a vacuum gets stolen from me, I'll just buy a new one. The other reason you might need it is if you have a physical location for your cleaning business, like an office, and you want to insure the computers and other equipment stored there. And with commercial auto insurance, you would likely only need this if you had business-owned vehicles, like a fleet of cars that you had your cleaners drive. If you're using your own personal vehicle to get to and from cleaning jobs, then your regular auto policy should be sufficient. Before we wrap up, a couple other pro tips. If you're just starting, don't start paying for your various insurance policies until you actually need them. Just get your quotes lined up and then purchase or activate these policies when you start going on interviews. It doesn't take long to get your coverage activated once you have a quote. And a last tip. Always look at the property types you're cleaning to see if other coverage would be beneficial. A quick example of this is when I cleaned luxury residential. Many of my clients had super expensive art, and due to the value of some of these pieces, they weren't all covered under my normal general liability policy. So I purchased an add-on policy, also known as a rider. So when I was on those interviews and looked around and noticed that art, I would say, I see you have a lot of beautiful art. Just so you know, in addition to my normal insurance coverage, I also have a policy that protects your fine art. Their typical response was, how soon can you start? So to wrap up, the insurance you need really depends on the type of cleaning business you have or want to build. But as a rule, start with general liability and go from there. Make sure your policy always stays active by making your payments on time. And if you need other policies in the future, you can always add them on later. And be sure to get your free quote at the link below. It only takes a few minutes. Insurance is an investment into the success of your business and financial future. So build those things right and make sure you're protected. Don't forget to check out my online course to accelerate your cleaning business. Smash that like button and drop a comment with any other questions. And until I see you again, happy cleaning.